Okay, and we are live, but you all know the drill. We got to let the stream breathe just for a few seconds here, make sure we're broadcasting on all 5 platforms, and it looks like we're good. We got the 5 green check marks. So welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented, as always, by Mile High Huddle. I'm your host, Chad Jensen, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. He is Zack Kelberman. Zack, we've had a day off, and I wouldn't necessarily call it any kind of breaking news that we missed on Tuesday, but arguably one of the juiciest comments to come out of media availability from these pressers after practice in Broncos camp did come out yesterday on Tuesday, and it was from Nick Vannett. And I just want to read you this quote real quick because I've been dying to get your reaction to this. He was asked about Albert Okwuegbunuam, and he said, quote, "I don't know where to start. I think he's the real monster," because Drew Lock called Vannett a monster. "I think he's the real monster. He's just so physically gifted. I think the thing with him is he's kind of raw right now, but I don't say that in a bad way. I say that like if he keeps building on it and keeps figuring it out, he's going to be one of the best tight ends in the league. Just how fast he is, how built he is. I really do believe if he can figure it out, he's going to be a scary dude in this league for years to come. I really do believe that," close quote. Zack, I had to go back and listen again to make sure he wasn't asked about Noah Fant, that we were talking about the same guy here. Your reaction?
I mean, good teammate. Again, one of those instances where what else is he going to say? He's supporting a young teammate and is, he's mentoring Alberto, I'm sure, to some extent. Though, I mean, why not? Why even play it down? Why even play a game? Just get his bust ready, Alberto, put him in the Hall of Fame. Why even see what he's made of? I don't, we talk about the Gronkowski Hernandez duo. They could be with Fan and Alberto. They could be that, but they are so far away from that right now, Chad. They don't even have a Gronk or Aaron Hernandez. Both guys are still developing. Alberto, he certainly has the upside. He's shown in training camp. He has a connection, obviously, with Drew Lock. He has great red zone ability. He's a good guy to have passing situations, but best tight end in the league, not named George Kittle, not named Travis Kelce. I mean, he has a long way to go before he's even a starter, let alone a star.
I think it kind of gave Broncos fans some false hopes because even if it's true, even if he has the potential, Alberto, to become one of the best tight ends in the league, it's not something that fans are going to see coming out in the wash anytime in the near future, even if there's an injury to the depth chart ahead of him. Because Noah Fant's the guy this year. And when the Broncos need to run the ball and they need to go tight end heavy, which is going to be rare when they bring in more than one tight end on the field. Excuse me, I'm still battling this cold. It didn't get better in the interim. It actually got worse, so bear with me, gang. But when he's on the field, when they need 2 tight ends, I should say, it's going to be Nick Vannett. And then from what I'm told, I've talked to a lot of people close to Dove Valley. They have some red zone packages that they're cooking up. The first team reps that Okwuegbunuam has received, it's in these red zone packages that Pat Shurmur's getting creative, trying to exploit that size and utilize his athleticism and kind of basketball skill set. But outside of that, Zack, I just don't think you're going to see a whole heck of a lot of Alberto, at least in 2020. 2021 might be a different story.
Right. Alberto reminds me a lot of the KJ Hamler pick in the sense that they can contribute in the interim, Chad, but they were selections made for the future. In terms of Alberto's upside, right now he's not even the best tight end on the Broncos roster, let alone the best tight end in the NFL. So not even the best tight end in the AFC West. Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, they have a long way to go to match these prognostications and these comparisons. He could be that good. The offense will certainly be better because of Alberto, but Noah Fant is still the top dog there. And I think Nick Vannett kind of undercutting the main guy in charge right there, not overlooking who he has ahead of him. And no,
just for the sake of being fair and thorough, let me just read you. He was also asked about Fant's skill set and how unique he is. When you're in media, you kind of posture these questions and set them up in a way to where you can kind of get the answers that you're looking for. Such was the case here because he gushed so heavily on Alberto. It was like, well, we got to get a quote on Fant. Here's what he said, quote, "This is Vannett on Fant. Anytime you get a tight end that runs a 4.5, who can catch the ball the way he does and can run the routes the way he does, that's so rare to come by in the league. I think last year he might have struggled a little bit blocking. I think this year he put on the weight. He took the offseason seriously, and you can tell that this is his coming out party this year," close quote. So he still paid respect and gave props to Noah Fant, but it kind of lacked the same zeal with which you talked about Albert O.
He also criticized him. It was a backhanded compliment to the team's former first-round pick, the locked-in star, or at least starter at tight end. He called Albert O potentially the best tight end in the game, or one of them, but he said that Fant is up and coming. It just didn't seem like it was a level comparison. I don't know what the disconnect there, if there even is one between the three players. Maybe, he's taken Albert O under his wing more than Noah Fant. And I think you agree with me, I think most Broncos fans agree, Noah Fant right now has a much higher upside and a much bigger significance to the team than Albert O.
He's just a much more polished gem. He's a more polished product at this point.
Yes.
Albert O, he's got a lot of shine to him, but he's like a rough boulder rolling down the mountain. And as he comes into contact with impediments along the way, it breaks off a piece and it smooths out. So by the time he gets to the bottom of the mountain, he's a nice, smooth stone. Right now, he's probably still 3/4 of the way up that mountain. He's got a lot of rolling down that he still needs to do. So, but Zach, on the other hand, stranger things have happened. I mean, the Broncos drafted Royce Freeman in the 3rd round and signed Phillip Lindsay as an afterthought. And look what happened within a 2-year window. It was completely reversed roles. So you never know in this game we call the NFL.
It's a good point. I mean, look at Darren Waller in Oakland. Who ever heard of him before last season? I mean, these guys can come on out of nowhere. The Broncos have a good tight end coach. They have a good scheme in place, but they also have a coordinator who doesn't lean on more than one tight end at most. So, again, any Broncos fan thinking Albert O is going to be anything more than a red zone weapon in 2020 is a little too optimistic. He's going to be a contributor going forward, 2021 beyond. He could be a significant contributor, if not starter, but he's not anywhere close to usurping Noah Fant just yet, Chad.
All right, gang. Well, we have a great show planned for you tonight. We are super excited to have on for the 11th Superstar segment, Chris Hernandez. You guys know him. You love him. We can't wait to get him here on the show in just a minute or two. First, though, we got to go through some really quick matters of business. And when I say really quick, with the way my voice is right now, I can't waste too much time. So I'm going to fire through this really quick. But as MHH continues to grow and the podcast, we're up 60%, Zach, in the month of August on Apple Podcasts in terms of downloads and listens. So
thank you, guys.
We got a lot of new people joining the ranks, and we got to make sure you understand how to connect with us on Twitter at HuddleUpPod, and then also on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. If you get those two accounts followed, you're not going to miss anything as it relates to the pod or breaking Broncos news and analysis. A gentle reminder to check out the merch store when you get some time, huddleuppod.com. Get your swag on. Get yourself one of these Mile High Huddle trucker hats. There's Football Priest t-shirts. There's the Let 'em Hate t-shirt. Hoodies, masks. There's a little something for everybody. If you're in a position to check that out, that's another organic way to support what we're doing here at Mile High Huddle. And if you're not in a position, it's all good. No matter if you're with us live or listening to this on demand as a podcast, each one of you can do these 3 things. Make sure you're subscribed, and that's especially crucial on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. Like this video, like this episode. And if you really love what Zach and I are doing, bringing you this content on the daily, share it out there and help us continue to grow and reach new like-minded listeners just like you. And then one last thing, Zach, we got to shout out our Facebook supporters. The ranks over there continue to grow. Just love seeing that community. It's in its infancy in terms of the supporter group itself. Our community overall on Facebook is vast, but the supporter group, it's just getting started. And we want to shout out Pobby's over there, Steve, Jerry, Michael, Emmy, Gerald, Chris, of course, who we're going to see here in just a few seconds, Roger, Jeff, Amber. And if I missed anyone, I'm sick. I'm not quite myself. Charge it to the game. I'll catch you on the next pod. But shout out to you guys on Facebook. And if you want to look at becoming a supporter yourself, we'll put the link right here in the chat stream, and check it out if you're in a position to do so. All right, Zach, the time has come. Let's bring on the one and only Chris Hernandez. Here he is in all of his glory, rocking the Let 'em Hate shirt like a true boss. And everyone knows Chris, but Chris, we've been so excited and look forward to getting you on the show. It was supposed to be a lot sooner than today, but of course I botched the scheduling. And, we're really curious to hear, because I've learned since we booked you for this show, I've since learned that you are one of our community members that really exemplifies the hashtag state of being. You have been in the Air Force for 24 years, and we thank you for your service. And we love seeing that, and it means everything to us. But how did you become such a passionate Broncos fan with where you are in the world?
Well, first off, I want to say cheers to my Mile High Huddle fam.
Heck yeah, baby! Love Super Bowl 50.
Super Bowl 50. I wish I could tell this story of how I obtained this mug, but it's a family-friendly show, so I can't go into it offline. But so this is the 11th segment, and I was like, Chad, I need to be on the 11th show because Steve Berline is my man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty excited to be on the show. But how I became a fan. So my story is unique. I've never lived anywhere my entire life more than 4 years. I grew up a military. My parents were in the Army. And when my mom got out shortly after I was born, moved around a lot. And so I never truly had a place to call home. And so they were LA Rams fans, then St. Louis Rams fans, and LA Rams fans. And growing up, I was a 90s skate punk. And I was like, I don't care about football. That's not my thing. I'm skate or die kind of thing. And so joining the military, my first assignment, didn't still skate or die. Then I got to Germany, and one of my friends, a huge football fan, he was a Vikings fan though, and he's like, Sunday's football. I'm like, nah, Sundays aren't like that for me. And slowly, he got me into football. Let me rewind it back. Before I joined the military, I was considering going to ASU, and so I learned a little bit about ASU and the football program there. And so Jake Plummer was the quarterback there. So I kind of loosely followed his career. And so fast forward, and in Germany, I'm like, okay, getting into football, where'd Jake Plummer land? Oh, he's with Cardinals. Okay, I'll watch him, I guess. Not so much. I got into Madden 99 was the first one. Man, I feel old saying that. But
you and me both, dog.
And so I started. I play with the Cardinals for the most part, just so I could play with Jake Plummer. And then, but being over in Germany, Armed Forces, what they had at the time is Armed Forces Network, AFN, which would show at a few channels, and we wouldn't catch sports live very often. And never a Cardinals game; it was more Cowboys or Broncos type games. And when I was over there, when they were winning Super Bowls, and so I was like, that's interesting. But still, Jake Plummer, maybe Cardinals. My dad's from Phoenix, so I was like, okay, I'll mildly support him. Fast forward, Jake Plummer is now with the, he gets traded to the Broncos, and I'm like, okay. I was in Korea at that time, and AFN boosted their service and got to see a lot more games. And of course, the Bronco games were one, and I'm like, okay, I'm watching the Broncos, and it's Jake Plummer, everything's lining up. And so from then on is when I became passionate with Broncos, and have been watching them ever since.
Dude, those were great years. The Plummer years, let's see, 03, 4, and 5. I know he was around for, half of, well, technically all of 2006, the starter for half of that year. But that 3.5 year window, man, those were great times. We got a super chat coming in real quick here from Kathy. Appreciate you, Kathy.
You.
She says, go get him, Chris. And using his hashtag that he has coined himself, click those little thumbs up. And by the way, gang, as you guys know, thank you, Kathy. Any questions you have for Chris, get them in the chat stream. Zach and I have a few questions. I know Zach's got one ready for him here in just a second. Super chat, whatever, get your questions in, and we'll try and get to them while we have time, while we still have Chris with us here tonight.
Yeah, Chris, I want you to kind of retell the audience the story that you were telling John and I before we went on tonight about one of your favorite memories as a Broncos fan. It's not Peyton, it's not Elway, it's another quarterback in Broncos lore.
Because I came in a little later, a little unique in that sort. And I know Mundungus mentioned it on his segment, the Tebow to DT moment. But moreover, it was that whole Tebow season is kind of one of my favorite memories, because at the time I was deployed to Afghanistan, and looking forward to those games and the magic he brought, and not knowing if they were even going to win, and it's like waiting 3 quarters before he actually turned it on, and I'm like, oh my goodness, did I wake up at 2 a.m. to watch this? I got a long shift, and then it on in the last 2 minutes and they win. And I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. And then right before I went on a outside the wire mission right after that win, the playoff win, and I was like on a high. I'm like, yeah, I'm invincible. I could do anything. If Tebow could do it and DT can do it, I can do it. And I was able. That kept me motivated. And it was just a magical season that came at the right time in my life.
Very cool.
It really was. It really was.
Chris, thank you again for your service. I wanted to tell you.
Thank you for your support.
I've told I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but when my kids were small, we were like, well, yeah, let's, we're going to steer them toward college. That's what you do. But as they've gotten older and as I've gotten wiser, if my kids want to go to college, I'm not going to tell them no. I'm going to do what I can to help them and support them. But the way I'm steering them is Air Force or Navy, right out of high school. And if they don't want to do that, it's all good. But then maybe go into a trade. But we just appreciate what you do, my friend. And as you can see, you're getting a lot of love from the community. Quick shout out really quickly here to Edward, who is jumping in on Super Chat. Appreciate that. And he finally got his hat, as you can see there, gang. He got his football priest hat after just what was a really weird scenario. Go ahead and throw that one back up there, John. Our friend Adon jumping in on Super Chat. Appreciate you, my friend. He says, keep rocking Chris, Zach, and Chad. Hashtag moms chicken soup. All right. All right, Chris. And John, by the way, whatever you see as far as questions, direct questions for Chris and Super Chats for Chris, just throw them on and we will get to them. And here's Zach. By the way, that was Sunday night. Zachary joined us. So much positive feedback from Zachary's debut. Chris, what did you think of his podcast with us on Sunday night?
Such an awesome dude. I'm going to have to follow this guy. Oh my goodness! and I'm proud to say I'm a Broncos fan with him because he like I was telling you guys earlier, I'm more heart than mind when it comes to Broncos fan. I don't remember a lot of stats. But this dude is on point, and I'm like, he can talk me in circles on any given day, and I just wish I could be like him. So mad props. That was an awesome segment.
Okay, Chris, speaking of your heart, your head might be telling you one thing about this 2020 Denver Broncos squad, but what is your heart telling you about how things will shake out for Drew Lock and company?
So I wear orange colored glasses. I really do. But I don't know if you've seen that Chris Farley meme where you get the glasses and you flip them up and flip them down. That's kind of how I wear them because I try to be a realist. I know I'm actually looking forward to this season. Second year in Fangio's defense. I think they're going to do well. A bold prediction of mine. I think this defensive unit get at least 50 takeaways, combined forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, and interceptions. And that's in the 2015, which is team, which is they were awesome. But I know prediction wise, I kept going back and forth 10-6, 9-7, and I jumbled it so much a few weeks back. I said I was predicting 9-6, and I was like, I can't math too well. But honestly, I'm like Duke. He said it a lot of time, 19-0 until proven otherwise, and they're going to have to prove it otherwise because I believe in this team. I'm the guy that will watch the game until the very last second, till the last whistle blows. Super Bowl 48. I was on the edge of my seat, still going, they can do this. They can do this. They can. Oh, they're not doing this. But it was heartbreaking, but it still was. I believed in them, and this team. I'm excited. This young offense is going to line them up and let them hate because they don't know. They don't know. and what this team is going to bring. They have some nice offensive weapons that they haven't had in a long time. I think they have the right coaches in place that they haven't really had in a long time. And I think they're going to start gelling. It might be rough out of the gates, but once they start going, fireworks, definitely.
Let him hate. Goosebumps right now, Chris. As someone also who thinks or pontificates with their heart sometimes over their brain, I have to just take a step back, and I like to ask this question. What, being a Broncos fan and being a passionate Broncos fan, what's been your least favorite memory, in recent times with the Broncos?
Man, my least favorite memory. I mean, the easy one would be, I don't know, the jet sweep, the jet sweep from Noah Fant. No.
That's a great answer.
Good answer.
It's probably that Super Bowl 48 because that offense was a powerhouse, and I'm like, I know defense wins championships, but no one was stopping them, and it was just that first play of the game, ball flying over his head. I'm like, this is not good. This is not good, and that's probably. Again, I hate to bring up, but I was on my mid-tour during I was in Korea for a year, and that was my mid-tour. I went home. I actually went to New Orleans for mid-tour and went to a local bar to watch the Super Bowl. And they were supporting Manning because obviously, went
to high school down there.
But yeah, and so I decked out in my orange gear and rooting, and it was just such a disappointment to such a great season. So I guess in recent memory, that's what I would go with.
John, grab that question if you still have it from James. I would like to get that. Like to get Chris's thoughts on that if it's still available to you. If not, I've got one here from Mike that we can 3 answer. Here we go. James Campbell jumping in from across the pond. He says, Chris, which position do you most see as the position of need for the Broncos in the short and medium term? If you want to drop some knowledge.
So, this is the one I think we've been like beating a dead horse over it, but offensive tackle. Like this is the offensive line is going to make or break this season or seasons to come. Because if Drew Lock does not have time to get the ball downfield, it's not going to work. If they can't open those lanes for Gordon or Lindsey, it's not going to work for this young, bright offense. And so they have to lock down that offensive tackle or the offensive line, but the tackle position moreover. With James opting out, which honestly didn't surprise me because that's been his MO this whole time. And Bowles, being Bowles, funny story. After every game in recent years, my wife would she's from San Francisco. She's a Niners fan, so she doesn't really watch the games with me, but she supports. And but after every game, she started asking, "So how many holds did Bowles get?" Don't even ask.
That's awesome.
But to me, they need to really get this line solidified if they want any success going forward with this potential hot young offense.
All right, let me see here, John. If you have Big Kev, if you have his super chat, and then also Glenn Hauser and Pobby. And in the meantime, I'm going to pull up this question, this awesome super chat from Mike Evans. Everyone knows Mike, and we really appreciate the support as always, my friend.
Thank you, Mike.
He wants to know, we can 3 answer this. Who are you betting will win the third corner position, Bosby, Yadam, or Michael Lowe? Zach, you start, and then we'll go to Chris.
Bosby. I mean, I've never wavered from this, and I won't waver from this. Yadam isn't even a consideration for me. He'll be either a safety or like the number 5 cornerback this season for the Broncos. Michael Lowe is just a little too raw. Plus, he's a little banged up now. He has a soft tissue to work through. Bosby, again, I'm team Big Boz. I'm Big Boz energy, Chad. I like him a lot. I think not only can he be the Broncos' third cornerback, he can be a starting caliber corner for the long term. Beyond AJ Boye, beyond Bryce Callahan, he can be a guy the Broncos build around. I'm that big of a fan of Bosby.
What say you, Chris?
I mean, not to same. Honestly, I've been saying a few weeks back, Bosby. I'm impressed by this kid, and since last year, and I was bummed to see him get hurt. But he's the one I think that's going to take it. Michael O, you said is injured just like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even know why he's still on the team. It's Elway trying to get what he can from the kid, not just to show face, honestly. But and maybe we can utilize him as a safety. But honestly, yeah, Bosby all the way. I'm a huge fan of him.
That's just the way the arrow is. The ticker's pointing towards Bosby, and he's been banged up a little bit this week as well. But Coach Fangio said there's a 50-50 chance he'll be back on Thursday when they get back for the 11th practice. And by the way, we got Big Kev jumping in with a very generous super to say thanks for your service for our great country, Chris. Hashtag click those little thumbs up. Love it. And, of course, we concur. And we also got one here from Eclipse Stormborn in Philadelphia, jumping in on Super Chat. Appreciate you, Troy. He says, happy hump day, Priest and Broncos family. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we keep Hamilton and Patrick, or is one definitely out? Get better, Chad. Hashtag state of being. Hashtag let them hate. Hashtag the MHHUN. Love it, dude. I'll get better. It's fine. It's nothing a little Sudafed won't, assuage. But what's your answer, Chris? Let's get one or two more in for you before we run out of time here. Do you think the Broncos are gonna keep both Hamilton and Patrick on the active roster this year, or is it one or the other?
I think it's one or the other. I personally think it's going to be Patrick, but only because of how many. It's so funny how many tight ends they brought in, and it seems there's a method to their madness of why they have the tight ends. And be honest to me, I personally wouldn't do it. If it was my show, I would keep both. I think they both have a different flavor they can bring to the team. But just seeing what they've been building with the young wide receivers, bringing in, it seems like 100 tight ends. It feels like they're going to cut more from the wide receiver room.
All right, let me see here. John, I don't know if you can grab Pobby because I don't want to have a jump here. We're going to grab Pobby. Wow. Just keep her on the screen. But I want to riff off what you said there because, Tim Patrick, I got to say, guys, I significantly undersold how the team felt about Tim Patrick. I basically viewed him as Cortland Sutton's backup, as a second team guy. And that might end up being how it shakes out when KJ Hamler finally gets healthy and gets worked into the offense the way this team plans on doing it. But for now, that first team trio, Zach, it's Sutton, it's Tim Patrick, and it's Jerry Jeudy in the slot. So if it does come down to one of those two, I think it is going to end up being Patrick. But I will say this, not to disagree with one of our great superstars, but I think the stars are pointing towards the Broncos keeping both at this stage, just to answer Troy's question.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the thing about Tim Patrick, I'm a big Patrick guy as well. He's not just Cortland Sutton's backup. He's Cortland Sutton light. I mean, few receivers in the NFL can be Cortland Sutton, but he has a lot of the same measurables. Big possession receiver, good hands, a guy Drew Lock counts on and trusts. I really do like Tim Patrick as well, but I'm with you as well, Chad. I think they will keep both guys and maybe even a 6th or 7th wide receiver with some injuries at the position right now.
All right, we've got to grab Pobby's awesome, very generous super chat. And like Chris, she supports MHH on YouTube as a superstar, and then she also supports us on Facebook as a supporter, an official supporter in the merch store. And we all love Pobby, and she loves Chris like we love Chris. Great to have you in, Chris, she says. Thank you for all you do. Go Broncos. And Pobby, just speaking for all of us here at MHH, we love you. Hope everything's going well on your side of things, and really appreciate everything you do for us here.
Thank you, Bobby. Wow. The queen coming in hard.
Jeez, the girls are flexing all over everybody tonight. This is awesome. The queen of MHH herself, Christy, jumping in with a ridiculously generous super chat. Thank you so much, Christy. Means everything to us and keeps us going. When I'm feeling sick and I'm about ready to send a freaking text to Zach and John and saying, guys, I'm out today. I'm like, nah. I gotta show up for the community, and this is how it helps us do that. So thank you, Christy, and we appreciate you so much. All right, I've got one more question for you, Chris, and then we're gonna cut you loose for tonight. Drew Lock, I know you touched a little bit on him when you were discussing your outlook for the team overall, but do you have any what's your heart, going back to the difference between your mind and your heart? What's your heart telling you about what 2020 has in store for Drew Lock?
I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I don't think they're giving him the credit he deserves. I know just a small 5-game sample last year, but for him to get injured in the preseason, basically be on virtual reality for a good portion of his training, and then take some practice and jump right into the fire. He impressed me last year with what he could do. I didn't expect as much from him, and he blew it out of the water. He got maybe it's a shortened off season, be it, but this kid has shown he doesn't need an off season. He doesn't need practice. He doesn't need time. He's going to do it. So I think he's going to blow it up. And that's why I teeter on that 9 to 10 win range, if not more. I think that's the floor. He's easily going to get, I would say, at least 3,300 yards and 24 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. That's my floor for this kid. I try again. I have a lot of heart with it, but I try to balance that with, okay, there's some reality. Pull it back. Don't hurt your heart too much when you go through the Kyle Orton or
Absolutely. Well, we'll cut you loose with this parting super chat from Dennis Woods, who says, "Thanks for your service, Chris. Also thanks to your family as well. They make a huge sacrifice too. Hashtag Denver Broncos for life." We absolutely concur. Chris, thank you for joining us, guys. Make sure you're following Chris on Twitter. He is a great Twitter follow. Trust on this. Let me remove this. Thank you again, Dennis, for your support, my friend. You can see right here how to find him on Twitter. If you look in his video box there, at KRYSSHIZ. Chris. So anyway, Chris, thank you so much, and for your patience as well with my botching of the Superstar segment scheduling. Appreciate you so much, my friend, everything you mean. And we're going to continue our conversations that we were having off air about our connections to 90s skate punk and punk rock music and the bands we both know and all that. So look forward to talking to you again, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you all for your support, because I see it in the stream. Thank you, me, for my service. Thank you for your support. And don't forget, click those little thumbs up.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris, have a great night, my friend. Thanks again, and we appreciate you giving us some time tonight. All right, there he goes. Chris Hernandez dropping some knowledge, very erudite. I loved hearing his thoughts on the issues at hand, and he's just one of those guys that brightens up every single stream that he is in the community. And when we were talking before we went live here, Zach, in fact, I think it was before you joined us, it's like, I hope I do okay. And I was like, I can already tell, dude, you're going to do just fine on the live stream. So great talking to Chris.
It's not easy to follow Zachary from Sunday Night Chat, but Chris killed it. He did a great job, and he's been so supportive, pod in and pod out. If he can't even stay, he just encourages people to give us a thumbs up, because that's what helps us so much. It's so integral to our show being built up and growing and being more interactive. We appreciate every single podcast that Chris has done with us. We love talking to him. I always like, Chad, when our superstars on these segments, they don't give an Elway answer or a Peyton answer. They change it up with a Tebow answer. I love learning about the backstory of Broncos country and how they became Broncos fans, their best moments, their worst moments. And I thought Chris's answers were very unique.
Amen. Excuse me. Geez, this frog in my throat. Terry Randall jumping in north of the 49th parallel up there in Canada, proving,
thank you, Terry,
like Chris, the Broncos country is not a geographic location. It is wherever you are. It is a state of being. Appreciate you, my friend. And hashtag Broncos world. We love you, my dog. Hope you're doing okay up there. Also, we got Black Knight 232 checking in. Appreciate that super chat, my friend. He says, oh yeah, I forgot to help with the Twitch thing. I can help tomorrow. Can't do it Friday. Got a hurricane coming up my way.
Oh, no.
Well, hold on for dear life, my friend. Hope everything goes okay with that, and you stay safe. Yeah, we'll, right now, new projects for me, I'm putting on the back burner till I kick this bug. But definitely, let's keep in touch, and I could use any help and support on the old Twitch machine that I can get. All right, really quick here, Zach. I want to get your thoughts on an article we published today at milehighhuddle.com. Actually, let me see something here. 1 second, gang. Apologies for the dead air, but I want to make sure I am communicating. I'm reading my producer the right way. All right. Zach, today I published an article. Let me do a quick share screen here. Let me pull it up. Bear with me 1 second, gang. This is a good summation type article of everything we've learned about these Denver Broncos. 10 practices in. All right. That's a good number to start doing a little analysis and retrospective. And I just simplified it, the good and the bad. And I'm a guy that when it comes to good and bad news, Zach, I always want the bad news first. Hit me with the worst. Right. Give that to me first. So that's what we open with in the article here. The first thing, and I want to get your thoughts on it as far as the bad, something we touched on in Monday's podcast. It was a gut reaction to Justin Sternad being done for the season with the wrist. But the first thing is just the injuries that are mounting. And you could tell, Zach, following Monday and Tuesday's, well, I should say Monday's practice. No, excuse me. No, it was Monday's practice. Fangio was a little bit shook. You could tell that he was, for whatever reason, like you think, oh, well, the NFL should expect that all these injuries are going to happen because there was no offseason training program. And the only analogy we really have to go off for 2020 is 2011 with the lockout. And in that sense, there is some truth to that. But Fangio was surprised by the number of injuries the Broncos have suffered. Not just Justin Sternad, who's done for the season, but you're missing key contributors this team is planning on making a difference this year, like Todd Davis at linebacker. So you got 2 linebackers that are off the table. KJ Hamler, the second-round pick, is just MIA. Von Miller, of course, had the elbow, but he's back. Melvin Gordon missed a few days with ribs. Tim Patrick. There's a few guys. Devontae Bosby. Mike Purcell. There's a few guys. Michael Ojemudia. But, Zach, the biggest thing, out of the gates is that they got to get a handle on this injury bug thing. And the problem is there might not be a way to fully, tackle that because it's just part of what they're going to have to go through with there having been no football all the way up until day 1 of camp.
Yeah, Fangio definitely was a little annoyed and frustrated. He kept saying same, soft tissue. It's what you expect with no acclimation period, a true acclimation period. And what I mean by that is a normal offseason, mini camps, OTAs, normal practices, not waiting until August to get going. You're going to see a rash of these injuries. Even Tyreek Hill, I think, pulled a hammy out in Kansas City. I mean, it's going to happen. You just have to manage the severity. Fortunately, the Broncos haven't been dealt, aside from Sternad, with many serious season-ending significant injuries, and that's going to be the case going forward. You're going to have some guys getting nicked and bruised and cut. It's part of the game, especially this offseason. Fortunately, in most areas, the Broncos can withstand a guy like Hamler sitting out a few practices or a guy like Ojemudia sitting out free practices. They have other guys who can step up, but I do understand Fangio's frustration, though. I mean, you have to look in-house, look in the mirror. Why is that happening? Are you pushing the Broncos too hard? Are the practices too long? Is Lauren Landau doing something that he shouldn't be doing in his strength and conditioning? So I understand his frustration, but maybe there's a way they can mitigate some of these injuries. Because when you have 4 or 5 guys who are out, same, that's more than just a coincidence. It's more than just a trend. That's a problem.
It is indeed. All right, the other thing is when we're talking about less than perfect. I mean, nothing's perfect in the early stages of training camp, but bad news or, lackluster so far, I think, has been the initial developments at center. Austin Schlottman, between him and Pat Morris, they just couldn't quite form a cohesive starting 5. And granted, you got Elijah Wilkinson at right tackle that's just been a sieve. We'll talk about him in a minute. But neither one of those guys, the first 3-4 practices, man, they could not get the run game going. They could not really, Drew Lock had a lot of pressure in his face. But the good news is here, Zach, they've started working Lloyd Cushenberry into the rotation the last couple of days. He's basically been the sole guy on first team center. So it'll be really interesting because a lot of times when the team in training camp takes a day off, similar to getting that bye during the week or during the regular season, they do a little self-scouting. If they're going to make any adjustments or changes, that's when they typically make those decisions. So it will be interesting to see if it's Cushenberry at center on Thursday with the ones, or if they end up rotating back and giving Schlottman. I don't think Morris is going to really factor that much more into the first team looks. I think right now, if it's between anybody, it's Schlottman and Cushenberry. But what do you think is going to happen? What do you think we're going to see on Thursday?
You can't put the cork back in the wine bottle. Once you have Cushenberry as the starting center running with the ones and he's holding up relatively well, why take a step backward? Why undo that progress? He's your center of the future. He's that young, talented offensive lineman you committed a third-round draft pick to supplement your young franchise quarterback, to literally keep him upright as the QB of the offensive line. I don't see Morris being competitor for the spot. Obviously, I don't see Schlottman being competitor. This is Cushenberry's job to lose. And the only way he loses it from here until week 1 is an injury or literally falling on his face being that bad. I don't see that happening. He is far and away the most superior center on the roster, and the Broncos finally recognize that. They're not going to go backward.
All right, let me see here. Moving on. Backup quarterback, when we're talking about the bad. Jeff Driscoll, just suffice to say, the early returns are not good on this guy. Now, to his credit, he has kind of balanced out a little bit the last few practices, but the first week essentially of training camp, it was a SHI you-know-what show from Jeff Driscoll. And if he's supposed to be the fail-safe, if anything, knock on wood, were to happen to Drew Lock, I don't even think the Broncos could trust him to get by for one game, let alone step in and carry the torch, so to speak. But how much of an issue do you think that really is when you have the third string guy 1 year removed from being a college free agent, undrafted rookie, Brett Rippon, basically outplaying the guy that you paid, a few $1,000,000 to come in and be your veteran failsafe?
I mean, he's a veteran because he has experience. He's not better in any scenario or any instance than Rippon, only because he has experience in the NFL. I don't really care who wins that spot because, like we've been saying, unless you have like a Jameis Winston or I don't even know who, unless you have an elite starting caliber like an Andy Dalton, backup quarterback, if your starter goes down, your season's over. If Locke goes down, it doesn't matter if it's Rippon, it doesn't matter if it's Jeff Driscoll, it doesn't matter if they put Elway under center. They're going to be in trouble badly. So I like the idea of having Jeff Driscoll on the roster. I supported his signing because I didn't want a Jameis Winston. I didn't want a Keenum coming back here. I didn't want him looking over his shoulder Lock at a high-profile backup who's going to cause controversy and position battles and just unneeded static in that locker room. If Driscoll can hold up, he hasn't had a good camp. As long as he's holding a clipboard and Lock stays healthy, that's the way it should be.
All right. It goes without saying, right tackle is a little bit of a concern here. It hasn't been great. There was some silver lining toward the end when we heard that and saw that DeMar Dotson was getting some second-team reps, or at least was running with that second-team offensive line. Drew Lock took a few snaps with Drew Lock there. I wish I could say I have faith that you're going to see DeMar Dotson at right tackle coming out of this day off. I think the Broncos are going to wait till the last second to make a decision there, if they do make a decision. For whatever reason, Zach, they seem to be dead set on Elijah Wilkinson being their guy at right tackle. And maybe it's that RFA tender that they're locked down on. They're guaranteed, that he's guaranteed to get something like just shy of $3 million or right around $3 million. I don't know, but it really is mystifying because his inability to play consistent and hold up consistently against the edge rush has been very disruptive to the offense's ability at times to get into a groove and do its thing.
This reminds me a lot of like shoehorning Joe Flacco out there at quarterback last year. They want to make Elijah Wilkinson a thing, and he's never going to be a thing at right tackle. He's not even a tackle. They signed a pure tackle who has 9 years of starting experience. Why they work in a rookie center to the first string reps, but not a 9-year pro with 100 career starts who they just signed to be your pure right tackle is beyond me. Get him out there, get him with the first string, get him familiar with Locke and Glasgow and the rest of the offensive line, and let's stop this madness. Wilkinson is a backup. He's a guard and a backup, not a tackle and not a starter. It's as plain as day and clear as that.
We got the Wizzy in the hizzy. Mundungus jumping in with a hoo-ha. Hoo-ha, excuse me. When I hear that, I think of Al Pacino's character in have you ever seen the movie Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino? That's a
hoo-ah, hoo-ah.
Yeah, he got the Oscar for that.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched that movie, I don't know, sometime during the shutdown this past spring and was reminded of just how excellent of an actor he was. I would say in his prime, but his prime lasted a lot longer than most actors. All the way up until very recently, I would say Al Pacino just phenomenal. And not to knock him now. It's not like he's doing terrible work now, but that role that he took in the 90s, man, that was a phenomenal movie. And thanks, Mundungus.
It was, for sure.
Oh man, Chris, you don't have to do that, bro.
Wow. Chris.
He comes on, he contributes to the content, and then he jumps on Super Chat and shows us some love. Thank you, my friend. And that's extremely generous. And it really was a pleasure getting to not only chat with you on the air, but behind the scenes and what we have in common. So I look forward to continuing that. He says, seriously, thank you all for your support. Much love to you all. Cheers. And you know what's next, gang? Click those little thumbs up. Appreciate that, my friend. Much love to you. And we look forward to getting you back on in the near future. We'll see what the regular season brings us by way of opportunity to have the superstar segments. We plan on keeping it going during the season, but might not be quite as heavy. But we do want to rotate people back on. And Chris, you're definitely one of them, my friend. So thank you again. And all right, let me Zach, let me turn the page to some good. Linebacker depth, I guess, is the last thing that we got to talk about. We don't really need to spend too much time on it because we have quite a bit in the last few days. But obviously, with Davis out and Sternad, of course, done for the season, you got to just hope and pray to the football gods that nothing happens to Josie Jewell and that Todd Davis can get back in time for the season opener, which all signs point to that being how it's going to shake out. But Josie Jewell, we learned on Tuesday after practice, man, it does not sit well with him that he is not a starter. He wants to be a starter again. Surprise, surprise. But especially for him, remember, he was a 3-time captain at Iowa and went right from being a rookie to plugged in as a starter in 2018. I think it was when Brandon Marshall, it was his last stand, and it didn't go well. So they plugged Josie in with Todd Davis, and he started 9 games as a rookie, entered the 2019 camp year 1 with Fangio as the incumbent starter with Davis, opened the season as a starter without Davis. And it was him and Corey Nelson, which put Jewell in a bind because Nelson did not know what he was doing. Then he ends up getting injured. I want to say it was a groin. Week 3, that gives way eventually to Alexander Johnson getting the opportunity in week 5, and the rest is history. So with Jewell, as long as he can stay healthy, I'm not going to advise fans to panic here, but the depth beyond Jewell, man, it is precipitous, the drop-off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I thought we were past this. We're hoping that Jewell stays healthy. We're hoping that Todd Davis comes back and he's a starting linebacker. It's like, didn't we move past this? Didn't we have A.J. Johnson? We drafted Sternad. We have some young inside linebackers, and we're leaning on more of the same. Jewell can hope all he wants and want to be a starter in the NFL, but he's proven he's a backup in the NFL, at least with the Broncos. He doesn't have what it takes to be a 3-down linebacker. He was exposed in coverage. He's not all that overwhelmingly great against the run. He's kind of just there. And the only reason we're hoping he starts is because the Broncos literally don't have another capable guy behind him. This is why they should sign someone like Nigel Bradham so they don't have to cross their fingers and their toes that Jewell stays healthy, considering their inside linebacker problems and their curse they have there in the last couple seasons. Can they get by with Josie Jewell? Can they mask his deficiencies? Yes. Is it preferable? No. It's just something you have to do. That Sternad injury still eats at me, Chad. I hate that for him, and I hate it for the Broncos. It really sucks.
It really does. It really does. All right, let's talk about some good. And John, I don't know if we have missed anybody. I don't want to skip any of our superstars. I'll go back into YouTube and check here in case we did. Oh, this is good news, Joseph. He's negative for the word that shall go unmentioned. Sinus infection. Hey man, I'm feeling that. I don't know that I have that, but I feel your pain, my friend.
So do I. It was awful.
And glad, yeah. Zach was laid low for a while there. I don't know, a month and a half back. So
they are not fun at all.
Not at all, man. It sucks. We got Freddie A jumping in to say on Super Chat. Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you.
Hey guys. Can't wait for that Monday night football game, #Broncos. Zach, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the anticipation of having the season opener. You wait, you can't wait, and then you're the last game on the schedule. Not only are you the last game on week 1, but you're game 2 in a Monday night doubleheader. And It's just, why is it continuing to happen to these Denver Broncos?
I don't know. I mean, I've been covering the Broncos for 4 years. 3 of those 4 years, they've been the second Monday night game, Chad. I hate it. It ends at 2:00 in the morning, East Coast time. It's a lesser Monday Night Football broadcasting crew. It's kind of just buried, and that's going to be a good matchup. And it's the Broncos and the Titans, 2 smash mouth defenses, 2 great running games. I think the Broncos will win 19 days away from the NFL regular season opener for the Denver Broncos in 2020. It felt like it was never going to happen, and it's less than 3 weeks away. I cannot wait either.
All right. We got a few more supers that are waiting for us. John, after Freddie here, let me see. Duke says, Chad, you need to load up on vitamin C crystals. It will legitimately help. I've never heard of vitamin C. I mean, obviously vitamin C, I know what that is, but the crystals, I'm not aware of that particular product. I'll look into it, Doc. I've been eating garlic. This is something I was told a long time ago. It has a compound in it called allicin that really helps your immune system. Doesn't make you very pleasant to be in close personal quarters with another living human being after you've eaten raw garlic whole, and you have to chew it to release the compound, I'm told. So I've done that. I've suffered through that, and I'm hoping tomorrow's the day where I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'm on the back nine of this thing.
I haven't heard that either. That's interesting.
We got D-Dub jumping in again with just generosity that is just blows our mind
Amazing.
And is very moving to us, Dale, across the Pacific there in Paradise in Hawaii. Thank you so much, my friend. Really. He says, Albert O, so unique skill set, like Gronk, who didn't run crisp routes. His size-speed combo is a huge problem because he is a moving block out, fast, in-seam, or out. All he has to do is put his huge hands in the air without jumping at speed, touchdown threat. Zach, that is one thing that he brings to the table is that size-speed combo. I mean, 6'5", 255 pounds, and he ran faster than Noah Fant at the combine, 4.49.
I've heard enough, Chad. First Nick Vannett, then Dale. Get him to Canton. Don't even have him play. Don't even risk him. Just get him into the Hall of Fame. Now I'm just playing with you, Dale. He does have those qualities. I mean, the Broncos, we talked about it in the open tonight. They do have a very loose potential Gronkowski Hernandez duo in Fant and Albert O. Again, I like what Albert O brings on paper. I like theoretically what he can bring to the Broncos offense. Obviously, his connection with Drew Lock is important, but he's so raw right now. Chad's stone analogy, diamond, whatever he used, that was spot on, that he still has a ways to go before he's down the mountain and he's a finished product. He's not even rolling just yet. He is all these different crap, different things they have to remove from his outer layers before you expose the diamond in the rough, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it'll take a little time, but Dale, don't let that dissuade you from. We are excited about this kid. He's got a lot of potential, and it's going to be fun. It really is. This was something Chris spoke to when he was on with us. They have an embarrassment of riches at tight end, and once you get through those first 3 guys, Noah Fant, Vannett, and then Albert O, I still think, I wrote about this today, that Jake Butt is going to make this 53. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat my crow. But even beyond him, Zach, Troy Fumagalli, who was quiet to open camp, has had 2 really strong days at camp, back-to-back, making big-time catches in the red zone, skying up over guys, getting his tippy toes down. Yeah. And, Andrew Beck, he brings the fullback capacity to the table when they do run a fullback set with the first team offense. He's the one that runs out there and plays that fullback. Now, as we've talked about on this podcast more than once, most 6'4", 6'5", 250-pound tight ends, they can get down in a 3-point stance, set hut, and run to the hole and blow up a linebacker. But still, it's going to be a tough decision for this team when it comes time to figure out which tight ends they keep on the active.
It's a good problem to have. I just think in Fumagalli's case, it's too little too late. I mean, you're being outshined by rookies, by veterans, by pure blockers and Nick Vannett. It's a bad position for Fumagalli to be in, having so many people on the depth chart. It's one of those situations where you just look for a fresh start, I believe. If the Broncos do move on, he might latch on elsewhere. He obviously has pass-catching talent. The Broncos did draft him for a reason, but there's just so many other guys ahead of him right now. They're not going to keep that many on the roster that it makes his odds of cracking the Week 1 squad just negligible.
All right, let's quickly move on to the good, okay? What we've seen so far. that is noteworthy and should cause some optimism and hope and excitement in Broncos country. And first and foremost, it's Drew Lock up to this point. He seems to, I would say he has shown a surprising command of Pat Shurmur's scheme for the few amount of reps. Like Pat Shurmur talked about, I think it was Sunday, the Broncos made him available coming out of that day off on Saturday. And he's like, look, normally 8 practices in, we're still in May, and we just had our 8th practice together. For our first 8 practices. Here we are in end of August. With that being said, putting that in context, I think Drew Lock has really impressed his coaches up to this point with being as far down the path in terms of install and assimilating this thing and making sure his guys are on the same page and knowing everybody's responsibilities as you can expect. Now, you want him to challenge and push the boundaries. Vic Fangio has talked about this in training camp. You want him to utilize the lower stakes of training camp to, figure out what his limitations and what the boundaries are within this scheme. So he's thrown a few picks, but he's also gotten in his fair share of licks on this defense. And the offense, this isn't the days of Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch where day in, day out, it was the defense dominating the offense and just bullying them to a point where the coaches have to come in and say, hey, can you dial it back so we can actually run some plays here and try and get a few reps for the offense? Those days are gone. Drew Lock has got some skins on the wall so far, and you can tell that the defense, they are taking a little bit of a sigh of relief because even though they're gonna be relied on this year, especially early on, like Peyton Manning talked about on Friday, I think they believe from what they're seeing, they're not going to have to carry the load this time, and that is thanks in large part to what Drew Lock is showing out there.
Yeah, the Broncos coaches, Chad, they weren't looking at Drew Lock's arm in training camp. They were looking for, as you just hinted at, they were looking for how he bounces back from an interception, how he gets his guys together, how he leads, his mental processing, how he deals with adversity. I mean, his arm angles, his breaking a huddle, all the intangibles that go into playing the position. It's not just throwing a ball long or throwing it hard. We all know Locke can do that. He showed that last year when he went 4-1. They want to see, though, how he grew up in the position from year 1 to year 2. And having a guy like Pat Shurmur in his corner, Mike Shula in his corner, and going up against a Broncos defense of this caliber, while it could be frustrating and confounding and they have their bad days on offense, Denver does, it makes them so much better because how many defenses in the NFL are as good as the Broncos? And if Drew Lock can beat them, he can beat almost anyone in the league.
We got a few more good things we want to talk about, but we got to grab this super and question from one of our superstars in the community, Ron Dubb, who always brings the thunder with his questions. Yeah. Thanks for the support,
Thank you, Ron.
Much love to you, my friend. He says, hey, guys, long time. Who do you think will be the best Broncos wide receiver when it is all said and done?
Another great question.
This was a debate from, I think, Building the Broncos, and the community last night had a little debate on this topic. But he says, who will be the best Broncos wide out when it's all said and done? Rod Smith, DT, Cortland, Judy, or Hamler? I'm going to hedge with the guy who I still believe is the best wide receiver in franchise history, and Rod Smith. You got a lot of mountain to climb to get to Rod Smith's level. Yeah. But I will say this. If there's anyone in that list of names who could get there, Sutton and Judy. I mean, Judy still has a lot to prove, but he's been so impressive this early on that you got to expect great things from him. But Cortland Sutton, man, I think we're going to see something really special this year, Zach, when his cleats finally hit the grass.
Yeah, this is a great question. And let me just throw out, I'm getting rid of Hamler and I'm getting rid of DT. As good as DT was, Rod Smith is still better, and DT's time in a Denver uniform is over. So it comes down to me is Sutton versus Rod Smith versus Jerry Jeudy. And I don't think, as good as Jerry Jeudy has looked and he could be, Cortland Sutton already is that good. He is already a top 10 wide receiver, and he's had crap quarterbacking every year he's been in the NFL, minus 5 games last season. If that Lock development takes 3 steps forward, 4 steps forward, if it's the year of Drew Lock, he is in for a huge season and a huge career in Broncos orange and blue. I just don't think Judy's there yet. I think for now, to answer the question on August 26th, it's still Rod Smith. But when it's all said and done, I've been saying this for 3-4 months now. When it's all said and done, Cortland Sutton will be regarded as the best Broncos receiver in history, better than Rod Smith. I am that big of a fan, and I'm that confident in his abilities.
We have had such an active chat tonight because Chris just got everybody going that the stream has just been on fire, and it jumped one of our bona fide superstars and MHH Mount Rushmore members, Glenn Hauser, in the house on Super Chat.
Thank you,
my friend. And he's got a message for Chris. Thanks for all you've done to keep us safe, Chris. hashtag MHH, hashtag state of being, and hashtag Lil Thumbs Up. So thank you, Glenn, and much love to you as well. All right, Zach, before we run out of time here, I want to run through the Locke to Sutton connection. I think we've already spent enough time on Locke and Sutton, but they're picking up right where they left off. Those 5 games they got together, man, it served as a good foundation, a good jumping off point, and we can't wait to see what's next. Jerry Jeudy, man, he's had a couple of days that he probably wishes he had back, some kind of minor welcome to the NFL type moments, but by and large, he doesn't look like he's a rookie out there. And the type of response he's getting from his teammates, it's not the typical platitudes that you hear when a veteran is forced by the media to talk about a rookie. I mean, you're hearing guys like AJ Bouye, Kareem Jackson, and even Bryce Callahan saying, look, I've loved going up against him because he's so good. He's such a developed route runner, so nuanced that it's making me better as a DB. But, I mean, how much of that do you read into where it's this early in camp, nothing's happened yet in terms of a meaningful game? Do you let that at this stage, based on what we've seen from Jeudy, dampen your expectations for this kid at all?
No, I read into it a lot because we've seen the workout videos. We've seen his route running. We've seen the moves he's put on Devontae Harris, literally putting him on skates and breaking his ankles. I mean, he's done it onto a field, and it's translated already from college to the pros. It doesn't say he's a finished product by a long shot, but when you have people like Emmanuel Sanders wanting to learn more from Jerry Jeudy, Emmanuel Sanders, former Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, one of the best receivers, I would say, of this generation, and he's asking a rookie for tips and tidbits and how to get better. That says a lot to me. And it's funny, Chad, the Broncos are so universally either hated or ignored. That's why the let him hate hashtag exists. But it seems like for Jerry Jeudy, he's the only player on the Broncos roster who's getting all this national attention. Even today, I forgot who tweeted it. They said, I can't believe the Broncos got the best route runner in college football the last 10 years with the number 15 overall pick. So he's the real deal. He's legit. I'm not going to say I'm stopping short of saying he's better than Sutton right now or will be better than Sutton, but he is dynamic, and I think from day one, he's not a rookie. It looks like he's been in the NFL for 10 years already, Chad. He's a lot of Amari Cooper vibes to him, and it's not just on paper. He's proving it on the field. That's what's exciting.
You've got guys like Emmanuel Sanders seeking him out to kind of get a few tips on his route running prowess. So nothing but net so far from Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. We got Major Payne jumping in on Super Chat, a name that I don't recognize.
Yep. Welcome.
And new to Super Chat. Thank you, Major Payne. Really appreciate your support. Yep. He says, hey, guys, been watching you guys for a while, but hadn't caught a live show till now because of my work schedule. Keep up the good work. The FPR keeping me informed on everything Broncos related. Much love. Hashtag state of being. Love it, Major Payne. Appreciate you, my friend. And that was a good movie, by the way, Damon Wayans back in the day, but love it. All right, Zach, let's mow through just one or two more, and then we'll get out of here for tonight. Philip Lindsay, we've talked about this on the podcast once or twice, but he's basically playing out there like he's a man on a mission. He's trying to send a message like every single rep that he takes. He had one day that he probably wishes he had back where he not only had a rare, extremely rare, I should say, fumble. He's still yet to fumble in the regular season as a pro. And a drop. But outside of that, he's shown well, relatively speaking, as a receiver out of the backfield and just seems like a spark plug. I have to wonder how much of those days that Melvin Gordon missed 2.5, 3 days, if you count the day he was limited to individual with that rib injury. But Philip Lindsay, man, he has just looked like he is a man with a mission.
I love that first sentence right there because he really has attacked training camp like it's personal, and it is. He wants a contract, he wants the RB1 title, and he will earn that this season. I think you and I are both in agreement with that. Gordon is going to be the RB1 because the Broncos are paying him that way. I think the better talent overall will shine through, and to me, that's Philip Lindsay. If anyone exemplifies the let him hate hashtag this season, it's Philip Lindsay. And aside from Locke and Sutton and Jeudy, I cannot wait to see Lindsay shove it down everyone's throat, including John Elway's.
And for what it's worth, Melvin Gordon has looked really good, but he's approached training camp like it's a marathon, not like it's a sprint. He's played very well. He's played within himself. He's kind of pacing himself, I guess, and maybe that's by virtue of this being his 6th year in the league.
He should look good.
He should. That's true, and he's looked like the genuine article when it comes to being that receiver out of the backfield, actually running routes downfield. Dion Rodriguez jumping in with our last super chat of the night. And then
Thank you,
Zach and I
Dion.
got to get out of here for this evening. Really appreciate that, Dion. He says, I agree with you, Zach. I want Judy to have a great career here, but I'm a huge Cortland Sutton fan and have been since he was in college. I want him to be the best wide receiver in Broncos history. And he's got a chance. I mean, it took a couple of years for Rod Smith to go from the practice squad to the starting lineup, and he ended up, by the time he hung up his cleats, being well over 10,000 in receiving yards and the all-time leading receiver in Broncos history. Demaryius Thomas, his first and second year, I think the best he had was 500 yards, and that was in year 2, catching passes from Tim Tebow, because he entered the league with a foot injury and then he got hurt again. So it took him some time getting up to speed, and it was a fortuitous event getting Peyton Manning. Cortland Sutton, meanwhile, is off to a faster start compared to those two guys, relatively speaking. 600 some odd yards as a rookie, 1,200 almost in his second year. And it seems like he has established more momentum faster than either one of those guys. And I think that speaks to what his ceiling and ultimate destiny as a Bronco could end up being.
Let's look at the one common denominator linking all these wide receivers. Rod Smith had Elway, DT had Peyton Manning, and Cortland Sutton hasn't had anyone. Now he has Drew Lock. So if Lock is anywhere near that stratosphere of Elway or Peyton Manning, not saying he will be, but if he's anywhere near that, Cortland Sutton will be the biggest benefactor of this Broncos offense. Not Hamler, not Gordon, not Judy, Cortland freaking Sutton. Already a top 10 guy, already one of the best receivers in Broncos history, Chad. I know it's a fairly long list. They've had a lot of great guys there, but he is this generation's type of wide receiver. Just a dominating presence on the field, 70-30 balls, 80-20 balls. There are no more 50-50 balls when Sutton's on the field. He is literally redefining the position, at least in Denver, and I think he will go down, depending on Lock's development, as one of, if not the best wide receivers in Broncos franchise history.
By the way, DeWalter Drills, it's good to see you, my friend. It's been a minute since we've seen you, but I know you've got things cooking with your job and moving around for the job, and hope everything's going well for you in Kentucky, my friend. All right, last question from our Facebook supporter, Steve, and we got to get this one. He wants to know, what matchup are you looking forward to most in the season opener against the Titans? Steve, thanks for the question. I'll let you start on this one, Zach, and then we'll get out of here for tonight.
I mean, the obvious one is seeing how Locke does in his first game of the year, but I'm looking really at Jarrell Casey versus the Titans interior line. I really expect him to get after Ryan Tannehill, and I would not be surprised if the game flips on a Jarrell Casey sack fumble where he literally changes the game based on vindication and redemption being traded away for a 7th-round draft pick. Other than that, I'm looking forward to the offense overall, Chad. All the new moving parts, Drew Lock, Sutton, Judy, those two matchups, starting with Jarrell Casey, I have my eye on.
You said it. I just can't wait to see how Jarrell Casey plays in his revenge game against the Titans. They dealt him away for a pittance. I'll never understand that move. Honestly, I'll never understand
Thank
it.
you.
He looks like a man on a mission. You want to talk about missions? This guy's on a mission, and I can't wait to see that. And just overall, seeing what kind of juice this offense plays with to open up the season. It's going to be really fun to see how it shakes out. But gang, we got to get out of here for tonight. Thanks to each and every one of you for spending some time with us here, joining us live. A mile-high salute to our Super Chat superstars and our Facebook supporters. We love you guys. And Chris Hernandez coming onto the show, dropping some knowledge, and just getting a chance to know him better and hear his thoughts and views on the issues at hand. And here he is. Thank you, MHH fam, says Chris. And thank you, Beast. You make it happen. Have a great night. You too, my friend. We'll catch up. We still got some stories and some war stories to share between you and I. So I look forward to that here in the very near future. But thanks again, guys, for joining us. Apologies for the voice quality here from yours truly. I'm still battling this bug, and it's hopefully I'll have it vanquished by the time we see each other tomorrow night for the Mile High Mailbag. Make sure you're following the podcast on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod. Also at Mile High Huddle. And whatever you do, make sure you're following my partner on Twitter at Kelberman NFL. Zack Kelberman, that's how you find him, at Kelberman NFL. Myself at Chad and Jensen. And then follow the producer, John Cronenberg, at John K. MHH on Twitter. But gang, we got to get out of here for tonight. We'll look forward to talking to you tomorrow for the Mile High Mailbag. Anything we missed in tonight's chat, we'll promise to get to you tomorrow. So bring it again tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Zach, have a great night, brother. We'll see you tomorrow.
You too. Feel better, Chad. A lot of water, a lot of garlic, whatever you got to do. Just make sure you feel better tomorrow. See you then.
Appreciate it, brother. For Zack Kelberman, I'm Chad Jensen. We'll see you guys tomorrow.